Hi, welcome back to The Wounded Healer with Carrie Ann. I am your host, Carrie Ann, and I am just touching base to say hello. I want to do something a little different today. Anyone who knows me knows that I really love to read angel and oracle cards. So I'm going to do a little bit of that. I have been watching a lot of tarot readings on YouTube, like all these different practitioners. Um, Wow. I mean, they are a really talented bunch. I seem to be seeing like a lot of collective reads. And so, not only are they very talented, but they're very brave. Some of the energy that they're tapping into in order to give these collective reads that could apply to anyone who comes upon them, of course, and their regular viewers. So that inspired me. It inspired me. I don't read tarot. I'm familiar with it, but it's just I just really love my angel cards, my oracle cards, tapping into angelic energy and that sort of thing. So my goal really is to give you guys a collective read, right? I'm going to be tapping into the energies um, that are just all around, but to give loving, healing, and empowering messages. That's really where I'm coming from. So I think I'm just going to start with a little Palo Santo. I already cleared the energy in my place, but I think it could be helpful to um, to really just clear out the energy in this little space here that I'm doing my readings from. I hope you guys enjoy this. I think I'm going to be doing this from time to time, but we'll see how this goes. Hopefully I get a little better at filming it as time goes on. I've been reading cards for more than a couple of years now, and I do individual readings. So I'll put up my ticker in case you decide that you want an individual reading. You know where to get in touch with me. And in the meantime, I cleared the energy in these decks. I'm just going to shuffle them a little bit. I have a few new decks that I'm really excited about. And we'll just start the reading. And like I said, I have a few decks out. I like to have, I like to have a lot of cards at my disposal. I did, I was guided by my team, my spiritual team, to take out the life purpose deck too. So there'll be a little bit of that. And we'll just say what kind of messages come through for you guys. I am interested. I know that we have an eclipse coming up, so the energy is already starting to get a little wonky, right? And I'm hearing on the astrological level from people who are very qualified in astrology that um, this is going to bring in a lot of change, this eclipse, for very many of us in the collective. So this is a really great time, for us to be having this reading. And let me just get started with some of these cards. But first, let me just pray over the cards. Oh God, as we open the door to communication, in the unity of the Holy Spirit and the great I am presence of the universe, we give thanks, for we know that the words spoken and healing received are filled with your love, truth, wisdom, and understanding of the highest. Amen. And I'm just going to ask that all of these decks work together to provide loving, healing, and empowering messages to the collective. Thank you for allowing me to be a clear and open vessel for messages, positive messages for the collective. So let's get started. And I know I keep forgetting to look at the camera. So I suspect over time I will get a little better at that. But for now, it is what it is right now, right? Um, okay. I'm gonna have to put my glasses on for these. Oh, what an appropriate card. Okay, so the first card out is love who you are. Right? Because that's where everything starts for us. We can only love other people at the level that we love ourselves. And when we find ourselves in situations in life with our families and friends and children and marriages, where we don't have that level of self-love, what we find oftentimes, is that uh, we'll have difficulty, giving that to other people. We just maybe we're not familiar with it, right? We only know like a certain level. And I think that as time goes on, if you're lucky, and you really tap into yourself and you have a relationship with God, He kind of shows you, larger love. So love grows over time. But this says, you are divine, delightful, and deserving of the wonderful things life has to offer. And that's the basic, you know what I mean? Feeling worthwhile. And, as I look at this, there's the water. She's on the water. She's literally like part of a sailboat, but her whole world is kind of part of what's going on down here, and so it shows a little bit of material wealth, like a castle and that sort of thing, but really I'm more focused on the fact that she's looking up towards heaven, probably feeling gratitude for anything that she is acquiring that's material in her life, and knowing very well that she is deserving, that she deserves good things in life. Just she's worthwhile for just being here, or God never would have allowed it, right? So that's the first card up, and the second card up is the mirror. Know thyself, self-examination, seeing who you really are. And so I know I talked about this a while back, and I can't remember like which live it was on, but I I listen on the radio, and more than once, they have like a segment, and I don't mean to take things too seriously. It's a fun segment where it's like, oh, that's all I need to know about you. I can't remember what radio station is, and it's always like something. It's always like like someone's pet peeve, and if you do the pet peeve, that's all they need to know about you. Like I guess they can't hang out with you, but and we do have a tendency sometimes to judge people on their worst moment, right? And so what I try not to do that. I did it for most of my life. It's a very common kind of way of looking at things, right? So no problem, but maybe, in loving yourself more, you're more gentle with yourself and you have compassion, more compassion for other people when you're giving yourself compassion. When you don't have compassion for yourself, you don't have compassion for anyone else, right? So everything starts with the self. And I really do notice, that when I look in the mirror, and I think about myself, I don't, I cannot just look at my worst moments. I have to look at my worst moments because they're part of me, and they are learning experiences, but that can't be all. But it is important to know yourself, and develop over time. So it's been really important. I think that's a super important part of life. But when I look at this card, she's not looking at it. Oh, she's very beautiful, but she's not looking at a wicked witch. She's not surrounded by demons. She, there's water, which signifies, a lot of deep feeling and deep emotion to me. There are flowers, so, we have to reflect and look at ourselves realistically and improve over time. But I have found that when I stopped judging myself on my worst moments, I was able to not do that with others. And so that took a really long time to get to that, to come to that realization. It's not totally recent for me. It was, not like last week. Um, so it's been a little while, a few years, but yeah, so we don't that's not all I know about you, or how should I say it? When I get into an argument with someone, and maybe they reveal the ugly part, I don't feel like now I know you. um, now I know who you really are, or those are your true colors. Those are part of someone's true colors. And when those things are revealed, a part of them. It's true. And we all have that. We all have that shadow side, and so. I've spent a little time getting more comfortable with that, and I will continue to do that. And I really hope that you guys do too. And I hope that whoever's supposed to stumble upon this reading, that's meaningful to them, because I think it is part of loving yourself and accepting yourself, and getting on with things, and growing and evolving over time. So, you know, if God can love me like this, like just how I am right now, then who am I not to? It is kind of how I think of it. Okay, and so the next one is fertility, right? That's a beautiful card, and I love the crescent moon on her third eye there. That is, you know, that's intuition, and of course, when you're birthing anything, and here there's a baby, but when you're birthing anything, a creative process, right? A poem, a song, just any creative, art, painting, drawing, anything that is original, coming from you and your heart and your own soul. It has a lot to do with your third eye, and your intuition, and of course, like I said, your heart and your soul. You're tapping into a part of yourself that is very deep, and very meaningful. And so this says potential, powerful creative energy, initiation energy. And I feel that coming through. And I know that, like I said, I'm not, even an astrology buff. There's so much to know. It's such a huge study, of the stars and the constellations. But excuse me. But I definitely um, have been hearing, with this coming eclipse, that there's going to be more energy, and I can already feel that, in my body, having a little more energy, tapping into the creative part of me, and wanting to release that. And I think that that's happening for a lot of people right now. I have this deck here that's like falling apart, like in front of me. It just keeps sliding around. So I feel like this is the next deck that I should be pulling from down here. Um, so let me just get into these cards a little bit. I don't want to, I want to kind of pull them as I go along. I mean, I guess I'll figure out a routine as time goes on, but right now this just is what it is. So this is, do 30-day challenges. Oh, okay, so I'm gonna say that this is a great goal. I can be a little flaky, so I find it really difficult to commit to something, because, like, I never know what my energy is going to be like on a given day, and I don't want to fail. And um, but that's the nature of commitment, right? It doesn't matter how you feel on any given day, you're supposed to do it. Force yourself to do something new for 30 days to form a new habit. And my one of my mentors, and where I learned to read angel and oracle cards, it was Angel Eyes Dawn Marie, who does a lot of challenges, like for herself. She doesn't tell everyone else to do it. She does it for herself. Um, So that is really interesting that that would come out. And so I believe that that's great for the collective, but it's also great for me. And also, I mean, Lent just for you Catholics out there, Lent just ended. Going into Easter, and a lot of times people commit to giving something up. During Lent, and maybe that's something that you wish to continue, or to do something, differently, something different that you haven't been doing. So, and the next one up is challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to do better. Don't set limits on your potential. And so, when you are challenging yourself for the 30 days, um, don't be married to don't set a limit. Don't be married to the idea that it has to happen a certain way, or just be flexible, be adaptable, and I think that that will be helpful. So let's keep going. Let's try this one. Oh, create a routine. These are very practical cards, this deck. It says having a routine helps you limit procrastination and give yourself structure. And structure is so good for the soul. It's good for children, it's good for families. It's just, having a routine is a crucial part of of life, and part of that is discipline. And discipline can be difficult for some of us, or finding a middle ground. Some people are so super disciplined, and I really admire that actually. But when someone's super duper disciplined, sometimes they can be a little rigid, right? So we always want to bring in that flexibility, but certainly creating a rough routine. And then allowing yourself to deviate when necessary is definitely a healthy part of life, of living life. So let me go to this other deck. I got some like pretty, and I'm feeling compelled to pick one of these mermaid cards again. Oh, here's the next one. Act as if your partner is here. Whether you have someone in your life or not, act as if they are with you, so you will always consider them. So that's so nice. If you don't have a partner right now, you can think about some of the great qualities that you wish to have in a partner, and act as if that's part of your life. And I think that you will draw that in. And certainly, if you do have a partner, connecting with them and considering them um, in your life, in your decision making, is a crucial part of being a really great partner. So and sometimes, it seems like sometimes the longer we do that, the harder it can be, very difficult for some people at the beginning. I think it's very easy to take people for granted, when you've been together a long time, and sometimes, there's a lack of consideration between partners in some ways, because you get into a routine in your relationship, right? And so it might be nice to think about something different that your partner might want from you, that you don't normally do, and do that. Try it. Okay, so the next one is social status. What is this? You will reach the heights of fame in society. Don't get arrogant. So I don't think this one's for me, but someone out there, you will reach the heights of fame in society. Just don't get arrogant about it. Um, so try to remember where it came from. Um, but if that's your goal, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's totally fine, if that's where you're headed in life, or that's where your goal. So what your goal is. So I mean, I think go for it, and let us know how it goes. Star power. Oh my goodness. I didn't know what I was getting involved with in this deck. become an influencer of the company and earn fame, popularity, step into the spotlight. So again, it talks about fame and popularity and, and star power. We think of the rich and famous in that way. So I feel like someone who's watching this, possibly if that's in the cards for you. So congratulations. Step into the spotlight. I really love that, the step into the spotlight. Because I don't think that you have to have a goal of being rich and famous in order to step into the spotlight. It's kind of like, I guess to me, I'm thinking like stepping into your power. And maybe that's because that's kind of where I am in my life right now, like kind of reconnecting with that part of myself. But like even doing this YouTube video, this is, I'm not famous. I'm not a influencer or a public person, but this is the spotlight for me. Like I'm doing this and I'm going to post it and I'll see how it goes. um, but even if only a couple people watch, like whoever's supposed to see it is going to see it, and hopefully they draw some inspiration from it. Because, like I said, the goal was to get on here and for me to get comfortable doing something that I do, with more ease when I'm doing it privately, um, but to speak to a larger audience and maybe give some people some inspiration and get out some loving, healing, and empowering messages. So the next one is the life purpose deck. I'm going to go into this. Oh, family. So this is a beautiful family out in the woods. There's an angel watching them. Loving your friends and family is central to your life purpose. And so some people feel like they have to have like, you know, to tap into, some, I don't know, some huge gift, that they have. And sometimes the gift is being a great family member, is being able to give and receive love, is being able to teach um, children and the people around you how to give and receive love. I think that that's an amazing quality, and I think it's really not acknowledged as much. It's often overlooked, skill that some people have, or gift that some people have, that comes very naturally to them. And it gets overlooked sometimes. So, someone here who's watching is probably has that as a gift and has never really considered it a gift, right? Connecting with people. And there may be somebody watching that has difficulty in this area, and would like to improve in this area. And so this is just bringing that into the forefront. And we see this beautiful family. They're out in the woods. They're grounded. They're having fun. And there's an angel watching. And so my suggestion, if you're having difficulty with connecting on the family level, is to pray about it. Pray about it. Ask your angels and your loved ones, Jesus, Mary Magdalene. I feel like is coming in, like the Blessed Mother. They can help you, with all of the things that you will need, all of the energies that you will need to open your heart and learn how to connect or reconnect. So I love that card. And I didn't see that one coming. I didn't know that was in here. Actually, I don't know if I've ever pulled that one before. Environmentalist. So here's an angel, again, out in the woods with the flowers behind her. You're an earth angel who was born to protect, nurture, and teach about nature and the animals. And so this is super important in this day and age. We have more information than ever about, pollutants, environmental factors that are dangerous to humans, to wildlife, to the earth itself, which has its own energy. So environmentalism is much more popular than it was, say, when I was a kid. People are much more educated on this, and somebody here right now is environmentally aware, probably a lot of you. And maybe somebody isn't so environmentally aware, and they can be encouraged to be a little more environmentally aware to look up little ways, in which they can help to protect the environment. I'm having a hard time speaking right now. So let me slow down and take a breath. And you know what? I think what I'm going to do is I have my lavender oil, and this will help to kind of calm my nervous system a little. Just get me recentered again so I can continue with this reading, because sometimes when I get nervous, I start to speak a little more quickly, and it's really not necessary. I mean, the angels really, I really think I'm going to ask them to just take over from here. And I did ask them to speak through me, but then, I'm human. I have an ego. It kicks in sometimes out of nowhere. And I get myself nervous over, silly things. So, no problem. I can still smell that lavender. It's beautiful. If you have any questions about lavender or any essential oils, my email is scrolling across the bottom. So you can always, shoot me an email. I may be able to research it for you, and I certainly could get you in touch with essential oils if that's something that you're interested in. The return of Aphrodite. Okay. The return of Aphrodite, who's a Greek goddess. I just want to be clear on here. I have all different kinds of decks. Um, um, I believe in energies, and I believe that humans, how do you say, that humans assign, names or people or, old ancient gods and goddesses. They assign, certain energies have been assigned, but I do believe in one God, the Father Almighty, and I believe in Jesus and the Blessed Mother. That's how I was raised. And so those are important to me, but I also acknowledge, that Buddha, is part of a religion, and, and is, kind of a figurehead for compassion, right? And Kuan Yin, nurturing. And so there's all these different energies that we encompass as human beings, and that we oftentimes relate. But so Aphrodite is an ancient Greek goddess, um, who, it says, the return of Aphrodite, temple, birth of the goddess, guidance, goddess energy, treating as sacred. Okay, I love this. I love this for myself, and I love this, and I love this for the collective, right? Because goddess energy is just all things that are basically all things that we think of as more feminine, right? That's all it is. And it doesn't mean that men have goddess energy in them. Men have feminine attributes. They are able to tap into nurturing, and, mothering type of energies, right? So things are not as divided, right, as they used to be. There's kind of this blurred line now, when it comes to energies, where people can tap into the different energies, and it's much more socially acceptable now than it ever has been. And I believe that this card is saying it's going to become more acceptable. So, I never want to be militant and be like, rah, rah, emergence of the goddess. Because, I'm not trying to denigrate, the value of male, of things that are traditionally um, seen as male attributes, or god or godlike energy, right? But temple, birth of the goddess, guidance, goddess energy, treating as sacred. And so treating as sacred is just the acknowledgement of those feminine qualities, um, in you, that gentleness, that nurturing, anything that you think of as inherently feminine, and treating that just as sacredly as you would treat ambition in a man, right? Um, or the things that would determination, those the harder line, the more masculine, the things that I know here in Western culture that we have been taught to really admire in a person. And those are admirable qualities, but so are those sacred feminine energies. And those energies have been essential for all time. There was a time in history, believe it or not, where women were revered, for those qualities, and it doesn't mean that they didn't have ambition or they weren't determined in certain ways that they weren't able to tap into those things. But in more tribal type cultures, there was value, denoted to feminine energies. And so I think that we're starting to acknowledge that just much more consciously now. I'm not sure how conscious they were of these things, but I think we're more mindful, and we're starting to kind of create a culture that that allows that more. So I love the card. Um, Let me try. Demonstrate love. Ugh, I have to get better with these cards. It's so weird with the camera. This really is a skill that you have to learn. Okay, so demonstrate love. Find out what is important to those you love and act on it. And so I think we mentioned this a little bit earlier about, if you have a partner and, excuse me, and you're in, you know, t- uh, kind of in the sludge of like a routine, and you haven't really tapped into something that they might enjoy that you haven't done in a while. Maybe it's time to do that. But this has to do too with, outside your family, even something as little as considering someone at work. Find out what is important to those you love and act on it. Demonstrate love. So, in its highest form, we demonstrate love in all the things that we do, to all the people that we love. Um, but let me look into this card a little more because there's so much imagery here. It's like I'm seeing like a beach and like a lot of flowers. I'm kind of focused in on this child's kind of laying on a horse, um, right here. Where is it? Oop, this part over here. And so it's almost this is really giving me the essence of connection. I don't know if you've ever, sat with your dog or a rabbit or a horse, right? If you have a horse, and really, held them close and felt their heartbeat. But that's really connecting with another living being in a very special way. And it is a way of demonstrating love. There are a lot of ways we can demonstrate love, but the power of touch is really very, I guess that's what's coming to me right now, the power of touch, and how, so many people lack that in their lives. And so, touch and encouragement are essential. Really getting out into to nature, of course, there's so much nature in this card, will allow you to clear yourself in a way, that will allow you to bring in more love and demonstrate more love, right? I know for me, it's so hard for me, for a while now, to just get out and create that routine, and consistently do that. But when I notice when I do, I feel great, But this about find out what is important to those you love and act on it. And so sometimes this has to do with communication too, right? Just we think that we know what the people that we love uh, like, and we do in a lot of ways, but children get older, and people mature as they age, and you know, and they hit different parts of their life, where they pick up, new interests, or maybe want to try something a little different. So, what we like, changes and grows over time as we evolve and become more of ourselves as we come back to self. And so I think it's really important to touch base and periodically, with your kids, your spouse, your parents, and see if there's something, that they're into that they really didn't know. So many of us were taught not to ask questions, right? And so I think asking questions is a good thing, and it's a great way to connect, particularly when you are asking someone about themselves, because it gives them the opportunity to open up in a way that they maybe wouldn't feel comfortable to do if you didn't ask, right? So I think that that is a great card. Let me try this. Divination. How interesting that that should come up. Okay. Prophecy, fate, destiny, future fortune. So many people have different beliefs upon this. So I wouldn't go, oops, I won't go too crazy on it. I don't actually really know what I believe when it comes to prophecy, fate, destiny, future fortune. I'm not really sure, but I believe there's a God. I believe there are angels. I believe that we are guided and deeply loved in a way that we are very limited in this lifetime to understand that we can't, we don't even, our bodies don't even have the capacity really to take in the full love of God. I don't believe, it's just that awesome. So that's the thing. But divination, is frowned upon in a lot of circles, and I can understand. I kind of get it. You know what I mean? That's why I've limited myself, in certain areas. I don't do magic, right? I don't do spells. And there are like people who identify as good witches, and this isn't. Listen, I'm not knocking it. If that's your bag and that's what you're into, it's totally fine. Like, I would never, separate myself, right, from someone who does that just because that's their thing necessarily. But it's not my thing. I definitely don't. I wouldn't mess with dark magic. I mean, you couldn't pay me enough to do that. It's just not my vibe at all. But even spells, I don't really get myself involved in anything like that. I mostly just pray and ask for guidance um, from God, and if somebody else is suffering or struggling with something, I would encourage them to pray, and I will pray for them. I think our best guidance really comes from the divine. But there are different ways that we get our guidance, right? And I think that's what divination is about and what it's considered. So it kind of gets a bad rap, you know what I mean? Like, I grew up Catholic and I grew up praying, but I do meditate, which is not inherently Catholic, to my knowledge. But I'm not a historian. Maybe there were people who did it and I just don't, I don't know about it. Meditation is a great way to calm me down, to silence my mind, to get still. And it just so happens that I am one of the lucky ones that I do get divine guidance. I have loved ones that will come in. And so I think, at the very least, quieting your mind through meditation is a really great tool for life. And I think in some circles might be considered divination, but I don't, I don't really, I guess, look at it that way because I just see the value of it. Okay. And here's guide. Oops. Oh my God. I really have to get the hang of this. Yikes. Okay. A guide, mentor, a trustworthy ally. Oh, interesting that we should get this because it's kind of where I'm at now, right? I'm looking for guides, mentors, trustworthy allies. And I think, this is very important to have when you get to a certain point in life, and you don't want to just stay there. You want to kind of get to the next level. I think it's super important to get around people who are just better than you in a lot of ways. Maybe they're more disciplined. Maybe, I mean, if you're looking for like a financial situation, someone who has acquired the finances that go to someone who's successful in an area that you want to see yourself develop in, and and I don't want to say cozy up to them, but try to get to know them, or maybe maybe even I'm a little shy, so I'm hesitant to just um, approach people, and say, "Do you want to be my mentor?" Like, I could be a little awkward. But I think there are people who are much more friendly. But I think finding ways to surround yourself with people who are functioning at a level and are kind of moving in an area of life that you wish to be in is really important, but you have to the thing about it is, though, I think when it comes to having a guide, a mentor, or looking for a guide or mentor, it takes a lot of humility, right? Because you have to be comfortable not knowing, right? If I knew it, we would be equals. You wouldn't be my mentor, you know? So you have to be able to say to yourself, I would like to see this happen in my life, or this is what I would like. This person or these people over here, it seemed to have that, right? They're embodying that energy. They're seeing they're creating in their lives what I would like to create. And so, if I knew how to do it, I would already be there. I don't know how to do it. I have to be comfortable not knowing, being the new kid on the block, and making mistakes, knowing that as I am mentored and as I grow and learn, and I'm getting my crown is tingling right now. So this message is definitely for, more than just one person. Like, this is probably going to be a very popular part of this message, but I would encourage you to get around people who have what you want in life, who have the energy that you would like to embody, and learn from them, and be humble enough to understand that you don't know it yet, and if they're being kind enough to help you to learn it, that they're giving their time and their energy, and to be grateful that there's someone there to help guide you, and that they're willing to do that. So yeah, put yourself kind of in the line of seeing success in the areas that you want to see success in. So back to the life purpose deck, I feel drawn to this energy healing. Okay. So there's different kinds, Reiki, I feel like, is the most recognizable that I know of the energy healings. Like, it just seems a lot of people in my circle are familiar with Reiki healing, but there's IET, which is like angelic Reiki kind of thing, like tapping into angelic energy. Your natural energy healing abilities are an important part of your life purpose. And so we're all born with the inherent ability to heal ourselves to some degree, because we are energy, and we're tapped into the larger energy, right? That God is an energy, right? So we're all tapped into that. That's why oneness is real. But we're all tapped into that. So we all have the ability to heal ourselves, to a certain degree, body, mind, and soul. And that's not to dismiss, any kind of modern medicine. Modern medicine is, a beautiful gift that has grown throughout. it's history and will continue to grow, and it has value. But we do have, I can't tell you, how many times with help, but how many times over the probably the last, I don't know, 5 years of my life that I've had to heal my mind. Um, Over and over again. I had a really interesting few years. And the way that I was taking it in at certain times, would become a little distorted, and I would get extra help, but I I also know that I have the ability to heal myself, my mind, my soul. Um, with by tapping into universal energy. And I'll take a step back and do what I have to do to regroup and regenerate, and that will continue to happen um, for the rest of my life. I'm grateful that I have the ability to do that, and I believe we all have the ability to do that, but we just have to know how to tap into it. And I think that, as far as gifts go, that's one of my gifts. That I don't, that I just know, that about myself, where other people may need a little more encouragement or guidance to get there. I'm also a certified Reiki healer. Reiki is just, the Japanese art of energy healing. And a lot of times, when people get a Reiki session, they'll see colors or they'll feel tingles, or sometimes they'll see like the face of a loved one. Like, they have a lot of really cool and interesting experiences, and it's just a great way to kick back, relax, regenerate, and kind of get your energy, back um, into focus. So I love that card as well. And so, wow, my cards are really going crazy here. Back to the practical deck. um, have faith. I think I'm going to end it on this. Okay. But remove the doubts and questions. You are ready to step into your blessings and claim what is already yours. So that's the have faith card, right? Have faith in yourself. But when you can't, have faith in God and ask for the courage to be who He wants you to be, who He sent you here to be. And and you know what? We grow into that over time. I'm not I'm you know 10 years ago, I wasn't the person that God sent me here to be. you know, I I I have grown since then. 5 years ago, I wasn't the person that God sent me here to be. I was part of that person, and you evolve over time. So now it's a few years later, and I'm closer to that. But no, I don't believe that, and I'm not that young, but I don't believe that, I am the person that God totally meant me to be yet. I'm not come into my own in a way where I feel like it's so full. And so many people are on that journey right now, and it's okay. But just have faith. If that's what you want for your life, right? If you want to be the best version of yourself, if you want to be fully the person that God meant meant for you to be in this lifetime, you can be, and you will be. Have faith in yourself, but more importantly, have faith that God's going to bring you the people, and He's going to order your steps in a way that allows you to be that person. And don't be surprised if you run into some problems along the way, because the problems that help us to evolve, right, into what He wants us to be, uh, are oftentimes big problems, in our lives. But those are the challenges that, as we overcome them, develop parts of ourselves that we didn't even know existed. And that's a really important part of the journey. right? So when things get tough, they're supposed to be tough. They're developing something in you that God wants to strengthen. Um, and I think that's a great way for us to end this, because, faith is really what it's all about, and faith is what will get you through anything in this life. Gratitude, when things are good and when they're not as great as you would like them to be, and faith that there's a bigger plan, that God has something bigger meant for you and your life and the people around you and your effect, on the world. Just having faith that there's kind of this domino effect that happens when you put your energy out, and that he's going to bring you to time through hard times in your life and develop you quietly and painfully sometimes, and he's going to develop you into what you need to be in order to have the greatest impact on the world and really reflect, his love to the people around you and the people that you affect. So thanks for listening. I hope you got something out of this. Like I said, you can email me at thewoundedhealerwithCarrieanne@gmail.com with any questions. If you want to book, if you have questions about, essential oils, if you want to book a reading, just let me know and we'll take it from there. And I really appreciate your time and this very different episode of The Wounded Healer with Carrie Ann. Thanks for listening and enjoy your weekend.